Happy Saturday morning, y'all. We're back in the kitchen. We have the grandboys here. Well, they're here for the weekend, but they're not here right now. They came in yesterday, late evening, and Papa took them fishing up at the pond. This morning they got up and they drove a good distance to a place we call Bodcall Dam. It's where we always go and pick out a spot to camp for opening squirrel season, which is coming up the next 2.5 weeks, I believe. I won't be attending, so Papa went to find a good spot with the boys to pick out the opening day of squirrel season. It's free. We've done it, I don't know, 30 years. I haven't gone in many years, but that's okay. The boys are getting older, and this will be actually Mo's first time going to Bodcall. So they took off for the whole day to go ride. They brought their fishing rods. They're going to do a little bit of fishing. And the little one said, Papa, if I catch a fish, can I bring it home to Mama? He said, yes. Yeah, there's no telling what Mama's going to get. But while they're gone, I want to go ahead and get Cameron's favorite meal done. Okay, now we will be having smash burgers on the grill, but we're also going to have red beans and rice with sausage. And this was also special requested a few days ago. Well, when I asked Cameron what did he want, he looked at me, he says, I like red beans and rice. And so that's what I'm going to put on the stove. I'm still locked up, guys. The chili was a little rough on me, but that's been a few days. I did have the brace off. Today, the brace is going to stay on to see if it makes a difference, and I think that it will. But before we get into the recipe, there is something I need to drop the camera and show you guys. This is not pintos now, this is red kidney beans. But what I'm going to do to these red kidney beans, for red beans and rice, you would do the same thing if you were using pinto beans. So just remember, the recipe I'm sharing works for red kidney beans, and it also works for pinto beans, okay? Same thing. So I'm going to drop you because I do mine a little bit different. Okay, I rinsed a pound of red kidney beans, and I have them just in cold water. They've not been soaking, maybe 5 minutes as long as I've been talking to you guys. Now, I don't actually soak mine overnight or for hours. They're only going to soak maybe 30 minutes. That gives me time to do some other preps. But in here is 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, okay? And what that's going to do is burp the beans, meaning you won't have that bloat feeling, that gassy feeling when you're eating your beans. And this works for all dried beans, but especially your darker beans, black beans, red kidney beans, pinto beans, and so forth. And we will be rinsing this. So that's all I'm going to do is let it sit for 30 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm going to get some things pulled out and prepped. This is now a recipe that's going to cook about 4 hours, low and slow. Sometimes depending on the age of the beans, and I am using Camellia brand. That's my favorite. It's a Louisiana brand. Depending on the age, you can get them done in 3. This could also work in a crock pot. I've never used a crock pot for beans, but I'm pretty sure you could take this recipe and put it in a crock pot. I don't know, but it just makes sense that you can. We're going to do the old-fashioned stovetop method, so be prepared 3 to 4 hours, but it's well worth it. We're about to saute a 1/2 pound of diced sausage. Now, this is a Cajun sausage. You can use any sausage. You can go up to a pound, but I'm stretching this meal, so I've got a 1/2 pound of diced sausage, a sweet yellow onion, a good size medium, and I've got maybe 1/4 cup of frozen green and red bell peppers. But you can use fresh, and I would choose to use fresh. So it's a 1/2 pound of sausage, a diced sweet yellow onion, medium size, and 1/4 cup of bell pepper. Any color will do, but I would recommend using fresh bell pepper. I'm going to put my pot on about a number 8, which is on the higher side, and I am going to try and scoop out some lard. Now you can use any fat that you want. I'm going to use some rendered lard that I put up last year, if I can get it out using one hand. This is about a tablespoon. And that's all I'm going to use. Okay, we want to get this grease hot. So, like I said, you can use any fat you want, or you can use an olive oil. I would prefer an avocado oil, because that olive oil will lend a taste that's really not going to be pleasant, in my opinion, when you're doing red beans. Okay, it is melted. We want it to get hot. And we're going to dump the whole bowl in. But like I said, there's going to be a little residue of liquid. I tried to drain as much ice as I could off the bell peppers. There we go. And all we want to do is get these sauteed down. Okay, I have sauteed these for about 5 minutes, trying to get to where you can see the pot. I do not see any residual liquid from the frozen bells. It's wanting to stick to the bottom, and that's what you want. As soon as you know that it's wanting to stick to the bottom and making that grammy, now we're about to add our beans. Now, I did rinse my beans very well to get the baking soda off. They're still a little damp. And we're just going to steadily fold. And that little bit of moisture from those beans will pull any of that flavor off the bottom of this pot. And you notice I'm constantly stirring, because I'm cleaning the bottom of this pot. You hear that sizzling slowing down? Your pot's talking to you. That means any moisture is evaporating, and that's what you want. You're thinking, why are you making a well? Yes, we are putting, I'm talking about 3 little drops. I don't even think that would measure 1/4 of a teaspoon. We're going to let that cook. You would be surprised what that little bit of concentrated tomato paste is going to do to these beans. Now, you see how it's all dry at the bottom? That's what you want. We're going to come in with some water. Just enough to pull that goodness off the bottom of this pot. Ooh, it's hot, that steam is. Perfect. Now, we're not through adding water, guys. Yes, that's what you want. Perfect. Get all of that goodness off. Now, we're going to go from a number 8 to about a number 4 right now. Now we're going to add more water, because we're really going to cover this pot of beans. And I believe we are there for now. But this is where you're going to have to check, because the water will evaporate from this. Perfect. Because you've got to give room for those beans to expand. In order to do that, you've got to have plenty of liquid. Okay, I am going to add a teaspoon of chicken base. Now, you could have done chicken broth for your liquid, or half chicken broth, half water. But I found I actually love this chicken base. And you see I'm taking this little teaspoon and I'm getting all that goodness off the bottom in case that wooden spoon didn't get it all. It already smells amazing in here. Now we're gonna add a couple of bay leaves. There's one, and there's one. Now I will be removing these before I serve these beans. While this is coming up to a boil, before we turn it down and start letting it simmer, you notice there was no seasoning added to these beans. As I've said many a times, you'll never flavor dried beans if you add seasoning at the front end. Some may disagree, but you're gonna find, if you're one of those that season the dry beans right now, you'll lift that lid and you'll see a whole bunch of seasoning around the edge of your pot. That's because the seasoning cannot penetrate within that dried bean. That dried bean has got to get semi-soft. So if this is going to cook 3 to 4 hours, I won't season for an hour and a half. When I notice that those beans are starting to swell and starting to get soft, that's when we're going to come back and season, because those beans are going to take on all of that flavor, because you want flavor throughout your pot of beans. So it's starting to come to a boil, and I'll show you what I do, because I actually vent mine for only 30 minutes, and then we'll lower the temp, because that's when I may have to add more water. But the reason why I want it to steam out, that liquid steam out, because when that steam's coming out, it's also opening up those beans. They're just not just sitting there on a low simmer. You really want to evaporate some of this liquid. You may have to add some back when we lower it, but it actually helps open up those dry beans. Crazy, isn't it? Maybe there's science to it. I don't have a clue. I just know this is how my daddy did it, and this is what he said. Okay, you see it's coming up to a boil, and that's what I want. I'm going to actually vent the pot. I'm going to turn it down to about a number 3.5, between 3 and 4, for 30 minutes. Then I'll bring you back and show you how much liquid actually evaporated from this. It's only been 5 minutes, but I want to show you what a 3.5 looks like. Now, it's not a rapid boil, but it's staying steady, and that's what I want. Can you see the beans starting to come up to the top? Okay. As they come up to the top and absorb this liquid, they will expand and start going down into the pot. Okay, about 25 more minutes. It's been 30 minutes, and you see how the water has evaporated and the beans are starting to go below the liquid, and they're staying on the bottom. Okay, that's where we want to be. Now I'm going to add, there's a cup, about 2 cups of water. We're going to put the lid on. I'm turning it down to about a number 2 on simmer, and I am going to check it and stir it about every 30 minutes. Okay, I've turned my heat down to low so it won't be splattering on me when I put the seasoning in. Now I'm going to use my Cajun seasoning swamp mix, and this is where you've really got to just season to your taste. But I am going for a heaping teaspoon and a half, possibly a tablespoon. Now, this doesn't have much sodium in it, so I will be adding salt. Okay, I can smell it. I'm going to add a little bit more. Y'all know how it is. You cook with smell and your eyes. Okay, I'm happy with that. I will be adding some salt. There again to taste. Since we have not seasoned, I'm going with a good 1.5 teaspoons to 2 teaspoons of salt. And I will taste later on. Now, it's been cooking an hour and a half, by the way. Some black pepper. This is coarse ground black pepper. And garlic powder. You noticed I did not put garlic in my beans. Now you can, but I prefer to use the garlic powder. What, maybe a teaspoon? Put the lid on. We're going to go from low back to 2.5. Now the last 30 minutes is when I'm going to add chili powder. This is amazing in beans. It just does something. But it just takes a little bit. But I'll bring you back, when we get to that. Yeah, I forgot my cumin. Okay, and I'm talking about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Not much. I mean, not much. Just a scant, guys. And that's really all you need. Whoops. And while I was in the pantry, I almost forgot my celery. Now, you could have added celery to your vegetables. But like I said, I find the celery leaves are mild but give great flavor. And then, of course, our parsley. I thought I had it all together, guys, but I didn't. Not much. This is just dried parsley. And the celery and the parsley might have been 1/4 of a teaspoon. You're really just going to see the green, and it's going to have just a very soft flavor. You don't want it overpowering. Now we can put the lid on. Good Lord, I was like, I'm missing ingredients. Okay. Let's try this again. So like I said, the only other ingredient is the chili powder, and that's going to be the last 30 minutes of cooking. And we're going to add about a teaspoon. Let me get all my seasoning put up. These beans are smelling good. So we're at 1.5 hours. We still got 1.5 hours to go minimum. Okay, we're at the last 30 minutes. There we go. Not much. Maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon. And you talk about good in these beans. Oh, and I did pull the bay leaves out. Let's walk out to the garden for the last 30 minutes of our red beans cooking. Boy, those butterfly bushes are going crazy. But where I want to go is over here to check our contender green beans. Doesn't the garden look so empty? But the volunteer cucumbers, they're taking off. I'm not going to guarantee they're going to be really tasty, but they may. Let's see, look at this one. Oh, I can tell you right now, that's a pickling cucumber. I can look at it. It's got all those little bumps and stuff. It's, oop, I don't know if the camera's picking up. It's not a slicing cucumber. Okay, we're down here. Y'all look, I got a voluntary zinnia here. I have no idea how the seed got here. Here is our contenders. Every one in this bed germinated. Let's see. Did I forget to plant some here? No. Okay, that one's coming up. Oop, I see this one starting to crest. See? But I should have 1, 2, 3 more. And I don't see them. But that's okay. They may not. Oh. Let's get that leaf off. There we go. So yeah, we're missing 3 to have a complete germination out of both beds. Did I show you that we left 1 okra? Now, he is not, I mean, it's hard. He's not going to harvest it. He wants this one to just dry on the plant. I mean, it's not growing up because we are getting into fall. But he wanted to leave that one. More and more watermelons are dying back, as you can see. So we should be able to find which ones are feeding these melons that's left. and go ahead and pull the rest. Look at them big boys. Now Grayson wants to cut one, but the tendril has not started drying. And here's that other big mammoth. Y'all look up in here. A cantaloupe. See, I didn't see it because all this is now finally starting to die back. So I may have another cantaloupe. Here's those radishes we planted. I do have to water. I see that it's drying out. Oh yeah, with that sun coming down, these cabbages are getting limp. But let me show you. This ended up being 2 plants. So I will be removing the weakest link. But that won't happen today. Ooh, they're getting way too much sun, guys. I'm gonna have to go ahead and have Buddy shade them for me. I'm not gonna water them right now. I'll water them this evening and have him shade them. Just too much sun. The Detroit beets are doing good. Those are some champion collard greens. Here's some. I still think it's too soon for collard greens. That's why I will be seed starting later on. But what I got them for, I can't complain. Now this is purple top turnips. Remember, there was a pack of 4, and then I seeded some throughout. And they've all germinated. And here's 2 Georgia collards and 2 more here, but the sun's blistering them. Let me get out of this sun. Whew. Yeah, we had good temps, and then day before yesterday we started getting back into the 90s. I'm walking over here because I see a butterfly bush that fell down. See if I can get it up. There we go. Whew, it's up. Hang on, y'all. Hang on. Okay, I got it up on the table. It's nice here in the shade, but really and truly, I'm not so sure about those cabbage. I'm afraid they're just too hot. I wasn't expecting to get back into the 90s, but we're in Louisiana. What do you expect? As many of you probably can relate to. So let's go in, check our beans. The boys should be pulling in. Matter of fact, I just got a text from Cameron. They're headed in. Now, if you want a thicker juice, some call it gravy, you can literally take the back of your spoon and mash beans up against your pot. It's hard to do one-handed. And that is a natural thickening to your pinto beans or your red kidney beans. But we like a lot of juice, but you see, the juice is thick. And yes, Cajun sausage, andouille sausage is darker than, say, a beef sausage. See? But that is red beans and rice. I made a pot of rice and some cornbread wedges. The boys are in from fishing. They didn't bring Momo any fish home, but I think they found a good camping spot. Now, they're out there getting ready to ride their 4-wheelers, and Papa's gonna work on the generator shed. And I'm gonna sit here with my cup of coffee, and we're gonna eat here in a little while. So I hope you enjoyed the red beans and rice recipe. Like I said, you can use pintos. We got to kind of do a little walkthrough of the garden. I will have to water this evening, and we got to figure out what to do with the cabbage. They're just too hot. But I'll figure it out. I'll come up with something. Because we're not supposed to be in like 90 degrees towards the end of September. But like I said, it's been AC on it Thanksgiving, so who knows? But I hope you guys are having a great Saturday. I hope your Sunday is a blessed one as well. And as always, stay safe, stay well, and God bless. And I will see you on the next one.